and welcome to another edition of the Big Knick Energy Podcast. First off, check out our sponsor, Empire Original Designs at jointheempire.com, the East Coast's #1 challenge coin manufacturer, home of challenge coins, lapels, pins, patches, keychains, bottle openers, and more. Mention our podcast, Big Knick Energy, via email for 5% off purchases. Once again, that's jointheempire.com. I am your host, Joe Yolk, the Bald Kid Wonder. We have a new co-host, the New York Postman. Follow him on IG and Twitter, Frank, a.k.a. Treduse, and our very special guest, a repeat guest here at the BKE Pod, and now a co-host of his own podcast, The Knicks Corner, Danny B. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. I'm doing great. I'm feeling good. Postman just said before, dude, out of work and the sun is shining. Long day.
Best feeling, long day. Yes, sir.
Another day,
100%.
another dollar. Frank, how you feeling being a co-host now?
I'm ecstatic. Happy to be here. Very humbling, very thankful just to be doing things with people that I know and care about. I'm ready. I'm ready to have some fun.
Just so everyone knows, Frank is 6'5", has way better hair than me or Danny B combined, and is one of the most gentle giant people you'll ever meet.
Man, what a wave.
Look at that, dude.
You like
Danny,
that?
take your hat off real quick. Look at that. Look at that shit. I'm just sad.
Just give half of let's just split it up.
Can you just give me and him both a handful each and like throw it on top?
Yeah.
We'll keep some aside too for Ange. You know what I mean? We got to keep him in mind.
That's true. That's true. Ange is in the background. Ben, our producer's in the background. We're gonna jump right into it, boys. Though, first off, we already got Game 1 and Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals go by. Let's talk about that Game 2, though. Ange said he's happily bald, but I mean, are we ever really happily bald? The Suns won 104-103. Deandre Ayton with the game-winning Ayton-oop from the one and only Jay Crowder, the best front-running crap talker in all of the NBA, if you ask LeBron James. How crazy of a play was that, boys? And how much do you hate how long the last 90 seconds of basketball game take now?
Oh my God, man. Dude, I tweeted out, right? Like, what a game winner. And like 20 seconds later, I'm looking back. I'm like, I got to put an update. Like, I don't know if that's the game winner now. You know what I mean? Like, but what a pass. I mean, the defense from Boogie, you know what I mean, at the line was
Gave him an open view. He's like, look, there's the basket. Throw it there.
Yeah, Boogie's gotta be a little bit more aware on that. That was just an absolute lapse in defense. It was just pathetic.
He was looking at the basket for a good at least 3, 4, 5 seconds. You should have at least picked that up.
Yeah, you gotta see your man see the ball, the old adage.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And then the screen from Booker, that definitely was big. That gave Ayton another second to really get up there,
Yeah, and Zubac literally was what? They showed you the replay. He was like fingertips away. He was like so close. And honestly, for Devin Booker, another not as good as the first game, obviously, but he basically broke his nose on Beverly's head, and that was absolutely insane. They both were out for a little bit. Beverly came back first. Yep. This is actually it's been a great series without either Kawhi or CP3, but I hope they both come back soon.
I heard today CP3's due back this game.
I heard game 3, right? They said he was going to be back. He cleared protocol. So that's really exciting to see this team. I mean, this could be the nail in the coffin getting CP3 back.
Yep, I mean, they've won 7 games in a row in the playoffs now. They swept the Nuggets. They won the last one against the Lakers after they lost Game 5, and then they won 2 in a row against the Clippers, which, I mean, to win 7 in a row in the postseason is – in the regular season, it almost never happens. In the postseason, it's like almost impossible. But seriously, about the last 90 seconds took 10 to 15 minutes. Like, what do you guys think the NBA can do next year or in the future of any point? Like, how do we make the end of these games faster? Because they lose while we as actual NBA fans hang on to it. Like, we'll stay on to the very last second. So it says 0-0, we're there. But they lose casual fans, and you need to get casual fans in the postseason. What do you guys think they can do to like prevent that from happening in the future?
Man, I don't know. It's tough, because especially with that last play at the end of the game, that Ayton dunk, because first of all, there's so much pressure from everybody outside in terms of getting it right. You know what I mean? There's so much feedback, pushback, and
the time clock person started the clock too early. Even.
Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, you know what I mean? For them to take that much time to like review it and make sure that, everything was straight and whatever, how much time was going to be on the clock. Like it sucks. But I feel like how else do you automate that?
I
You know
don't
what I
I
mean?
don't I don't think first I don't know people casual viewers leaving the broadcast affects ratings. I think after a certain amount of viewership timing, their ratings just remain the same. I think like keeping the sanctity of basketball and just making sure things are, precise is the most important thing, especially when it comes to playoff games, because like I think the last thing the league needs is to hurry something up and then make a miscall or just a misjudgment that can affect the playoff round. And also, the league is not hurting for sponsorship or viewers. It's one of the most successful leagues, and it has grown exponentially. Other than more than like the NFL, they've grown the most, the fastest. So
Oh, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
don't really think they got to do much. I think you don't really mess with something that's already working.
So maybe
Yup.
even from a personal standpoint, because it's like the one play that really resonated to me, and it's been said in other places, but like when Beverly hit the ball out of Booker's hand and Booker literally like his pinky or ring finger were on the ball like a split second longer.
Right.
Every other minute of the game outside of the last 2 minutes of the game, that's Suns ball. Like if you play street ball and you get the ball knocked out like by the defender like that, realistically, if you have super slow mo, that's going to go out on you almost every time because you are the one dribbling the ball. But it's like for the sanctity of the game, that's out on the defense. Like the defense made the ball go out of bounds. Devin Booker didn't dribble it off his foot. He didn't make his hand magically go that way. Like it's just gone. So I'm just
Right.
like, I don't know. Personally, I'm just sick of that crap. I wish they could make the last minutes or two go faster. Like Frank, you mentioned the
Maybe you
NFL.
cut what you review. You know what I mean? So like you
Yeah.
don't review out of bounds. You know what I mean? Maybe that's you limit the plays that get reviewed or are reviewable.
I think they should go back to like just threes or twos, honestly.
Well,
I think that was the best way.
I also think that the way that they can do this to where the reviewing process is faster is maybe whoever they have like actually kind of like with the NFL, how they have the the retired refs that are like in the booth like looking over plays, maybe have like multiple guys look up in the box, look at this play and kind of just like come to a decision a lot faster opposed to just having like one guy look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe have like 6 or 7 guys look at it and be like, all right, this is the consensus off of one watch. This is the right call.
Especially for the playoffs, they literally only have one game going on at a time. They could have like 4 former refs be like within 5 seconds make a decision or not. Not to take away from Ayton's actual play in the pick that Booker said and stuff like that. To mention Deandre Ayton, though, I'm sure you guys both heard and saw this recently. He's trying to claim, which 3 years in, it's like, dude, you have claim to nothing.
Yeah, no,
you can't say that your draft class is the best of all time already. What's your guys' takes on that? Also, I know I posed the question to you guys earlier. Who do you think is the best draft class, either of all time? I did it for the past 10 years, but if you guys did all time, let me know. But what do you think of DeAndre Ayton's comments? Starting with you, Danny.
Man, you hit it right on the head, dude. He's not even in the league. None of them are in the league long enough to even draw any type of conclusions. I mean, first of all, I'm gonna go point to our boy Randall, who had a crazy season in year 7. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody progresses at different rates. It's tough, man. And you look at his draft class too, and it's like it's okay. You know what I mean? Okay, they had Doncic, they had Young, they had a couple stars. You know what I mean? But there's a couple other years where we still produced at least 2 to 3 stars out of that class. Man, every time I think about draft classes, dude, I always go back to 2003. I think that's just my favorite draft, just personally. You know what I mean? So I'd have to break the 10-year barrier that you kind of put out there, which I'm cool with anyway. If we go back to that, man.
I mean, LeBron, Melo, D Wade, Chris Bosh, like the list goes on.
Yeah, I mean, that was just such a great year. But I was even taking a look too. I mean, I started back at like 2011, and you got Kyrie, you got Kawhi, there's a bunch of other guys. Who else was in Ayton's draft class? You had Bagley,
Luka. I mean, no, you have Luka, you have Trae Young. I mean, those are the main 3 realistically.
Right.
You got Mikal Bridges, Sean Gillis, Alexander,
because there's a lot of secondaries.
Michael Porter Jr.
Yes.
I would say SGA and MPJ are the ones that rounded out. I mean, Kevin Huerter, if you give a Game 7 MVP, he definitely won that crap. But would you, before 3 days ago, would you mention Kevin Huerter in any breath?
No, probably not.
Angelo just asked who did the Knicks draft. It would be Kevin Knox, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We drafted Kevin Knox, who might not even be on the team after this year. Frank, since Danny B took one of your answers at 2003, what was the other one you had written down?
I mean, it's going back further than 10 years. I'm an old school 90s guy. The 96
Love
draft is the obvious one that just sticks out, that with AI being taken first. Sharif Abdul-Rahim, like, is another name. Marcus Camby went to, Stephon Marbury, Ray Allen, Antoine Walker, Kerry Kittles, Eric Dampier, Kobe Bryant at 13, Peja Stojakovic, Steve Nash, Jermaine O'Neal. I mean, Z's in that. I mean, the
you just
Derek
mentioned
Fisher.
6 dudes that got MVP votes throughout their career. Like
I mean, that draft class was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's probably, it's that and the 03 draft class, but I think that 96 takes the cake in my opinion.
You know what? It's got the nostalgia to it. You know what I mean? So, and that's a big reason why you can't take what Ayton says with, a ton of salt with it, because it's like it's 3 years, man. Like, there's not enough time, dude.
It's the Kardashians, man.
Dude,
it's the Kardashian league. They all come in
prisoner of the moment.
Where it's softer. There's no grit. Everyone's friends with each other. It's back in the 90s. I mean, even the 03 draft class, everyone's friends with each other. I like.
Wasn't CP3 one 03 too?
Yeah.
Dude, phenomenal draft class, honestly.
Yeah.
Vin just posed us a good question. How many years does it take for you before you consider a player a vet? I personally think about like 5 or 7, like 5 to 7 range is usually what I think of.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I had 5 in my head. At least as the start, and it goes back again, man. Everybody progresses differently, so you might be year 5, but say you missed a good year and a half from injuries or something. So you've been around it, but you don't have that experience. So sometimes it does take a little bit more than 5 years. I would definitely say that's kind of like the the bar at least.
Yeah, agreed. Just real quick, because I went back 10 years. I mean, I was thinking of just picking the year Michael Jordan was drafted, just to be like, well, MJ went here, so I was going to pick that one.
Okay.
But I had 2014 written down. Joel Embiid at 3, Julius Randle at 6, Zach LaVine at 13, TJ Warren at 14, Joseph Nurkic at 16, Clint Capella at 25, Spencer Dinwiddie 38, Jeremy Grant at 39, and Nikola Jokic at 41. Jordan Clarkson at 46, and all 10 of those dudes have gone MVP, MIP, All NBA votes, or 6th Man of the Year votes in only the 7 years they've been in the league. And that's like 10
that's
deep
a good draft
for a
class.
Draft class is deep.
Yeah.
To go after that real quick. One, we all miss and love Julius Randle. What's it called? The other thing I wanted to say is, before we go on to the next topic we wanted to go to, just to mention the Bucks Hawks series. Obviously they start playing tonight. We're probably not going to have this up until after game 1 is up. Do you guys have any predictions for the series? What do you want to happen, and what do you think will happen? Frank, we'll start with you.
I would like the Hawks to win the series, only because it makes the point I was saying when we lost to the Hawks, that the Knicks weren't playing as bad as we thought. The Hawks were just playing championship caliber basketball. I think Trae Young is a guy where, like, you can make adjustments defensively, but his IQ is just way too high. He's going to figure out the defenses, and he's going to dissect the defenses and be successful. I think that it would be good for basketball as well for the Hawks to do that, not only because the Knicks won't look as bad, but it might get Giannis out of Milwaukee, might shake up the face of the NBA. I think that could be a cool matchup. I think, Hawks Suns is something that I would like to see. I definitely want to see the Suns. I know it's going a little bit off topic. I definitely want to see the Suns in the final, just because
CP3.
I think CP3 is a very deserving championship caliber player who has been at it for years, has been in the playoffs pretty much since he's been in the league, it feels like. And he's the only one of that draft class, other than Melo, obviously, of those like high caliber players.
Yeah.
That actually plays championship caliber basketball. Like Melo,
without ever actually getting there.
Right. Like Melo, you can always say the ISO ball and whatnot. To me, it's like, that's not championship caliber ball, but like Chris Paul is a championship caliber point guard, and debatably one of the greatest point guards to play the game, and a championship would definitely define him as that. So yeah, I think Hawks. I'm going to go Hawks.
Danny, what about you?
Man, I honestly, I don't like the Hawks right now. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But I understand where
I
you're
know
going
you
with it.
do share the same feeling as a lot of Knicks fans currently. That's for sure.
It just is what it is. I just feel like, listen, that's what competition's about. You know what I mean? So I get it. And I definitely agree with Frank's take too, man. I think that the Hawks were definitely one, underestimated going into the playoffs. Two, I think that they definitely stepped up their game. They made all the right adjustments and they really locked us the hell down. So kudos to them. You got to give credit where it's due. I still think that I kind of want to see the Bucks get past it, man. I've been a Giannis fan because I love his size and he does show signs of athleticism that you see it, and he works on things. His shot's gotten somewhat
Dude, he's like
better.
skinny
Goes
Shaq.
up and down. Exactly, and I just feel like as a Knicks fan, in a Knicks perspective, right, when we drafted Knox, we thought, shades of Durant could be there. We thought shades of Giannis, you know what I mean? Drive with the Euro
Kawhi
step,
Leonard a lot. Yeah, they're like same
yeah,
size.
man. So it's like to not see that aggressiveness and that instinct coming from him, and then you see, Giannis do it. I don't know. I've been a fan of it, and I kind of been rooting for him, kind of from the background.
What is wild is that
Hold on. I gotta address this real quick, man.
Oh my
Angela's
God.
saying summer league knocks over any NBA player, and the only response I have to that is Zion. That's it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Even in summer league, Zion. I'm hoping summer league, Luca Vildoza really shows us what's good.
Man, me too, man. Me too.
What's going to be wild is that none of these four teams have won a title in 50 years, and with both the Hawks and the Clippers making the conference championship game, now the longest running team that isn't an expansion team from after 1980 to make the NBA conference championship round is the Washington Bullets / Wizards. They have not made it since 1979. Wow. I don't think there's any Washington fans on here, but there are. Sorry to be you. To go into the next topic, I know I posted this question for you guys to look up and think about. There's only 4 teams left, so we mentioned Bucks, Hawks, and then Suns, Clippers. Who are your 5 favorite players left that are in the playoffs currently? Whichever one of you guys want to go first.
Yeah, take it first.
Oh man, you put me on the spot. The funny thing is too, man, when I saw that question, I was like 5. I'm like, oh man. But so I'll start at the top. I think Booker is definitely, I've been watching his game for the last couple of years and just kind of admiring the steps that he takes, the drive that he has in his game. That whole aura that he puts out. I'm just all about it. I love it. So I would definitely go with him as number 1. Number 2, man, Chris Paul, a legend. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's why so many people are rooting for the Suns. So I got to stick with my man CP. I'm going to flip it back to where we just were 2 minutes ago. I'll throw Giannis out there, because I've been following him for a little bit. I ain't going to lie. I got the Greek Freak 1s. I got the Greek Freak 2s. I'm probably going to grab, a pair of the 3s when they drop. I'm a shoehead, so a sneakerhead. So I love that. So I'm going to go with Giannis there. Oh man, I'm gonna go over to the Clippers and throw Kawhi out. Obviously, I know he's not playing; he's hurt, but I'm just taking up a spot. And
I really hope he comes back, honestly, because if he doesn't come back, I think that series only goes 5 or 6 games at the very most.
Me too, man. Me too. And I'm gonna throw a random one out here. I'm gonna put Pat Beverly out there because
nice.
I love his tenacity, bro. He's just always up in everybody's shit. You know what I'm saying? Always trying to just back check, always trying to just disrupt the offense, and he creates so much from doing that. And not only that, but the energy that it brings. You know what I mean? It really raises the camaraderie of the team. So I love seeing that. That's definitely cool. Is that 4? I think that's 5. Right?
I think that was 5. Any and all Bulldog players, especially the smaller dudes, because I'm only 5'8". I mention it all the time. I'm a short dude that's played pickup my whole life.
Me too.
Let's go. Short people unite. Frank, you're too tall for us, honestly. But any short dude that tries his ass off on defense, I'm all for. I love Pat Bev. Frank, what about you? Top 5?
Okay, so the top 5 guys that I've chose, 3 of them have been DNPs. So I just got a nice little list.
Please tell me one of them's Langston Galloway.
Okay, so let me start with the guys that are actually playing. Dario Saric, I like a lot. The reason I say him is because he carried me through a fantasy basketball season when he was a starter for Philly, and he brought me to a championship.
Nice.
So shout out to you, my guy. I know you're a real hooper. Big fan of that guy. The second guy I'm going to go with is DeMarcus Cousins.
God, where is this?
Let me continue. Let me tell you, because he continuously is getting NBA checks after just off of the allure of what he was prior to his injury. So shout out to DeMarcus Cousins. Keep getting those checks, my guy.
Yo, I like this.
And
Hold
now
on, are you
to
going
my-
backwards, 5 down to 1, or are you going 1 to
No,
5?
this is in no order. I'm just
Alright,
I went with
I'm
the
scared
two
either way,
guys-
honestly, at this
I
point.
went with the two guys that played. Now let me get to my DNP legends. Okay, one, I'll start with Langston Galloway. Not only because he is a former Knick and he came up in the league as a G leaguer, he's also been able to keep an NBA job.
Once a Knick, always a Knick.
And being a G leaguer coming into the NBA and keeping a contract throughout the rest of your career has to be one of the most notable things anybody can do in their lifetime. That's got to be so hard to do. So shout out to Langston. Jay Scrub on the Clippers, because he probably got so much shit growing up with that last name and playing basketball. So shout out to Jay Scrub. You're in the NBA. You're not a scrub.
Man on their roster.
This is a great list.
And then the last guy that I chose that DNPs, Brandon Goodwin on the Hawks, because
he played a couple of the playoff games in round one.
Let me tell you why I chose him. Because in 2K, if you drafted Brandon Goodwin and then you use your off-season training properly, Brandon Goodwin became an all-star. So he carried me to a couple of playoff games and never missed from the 3-point line when I played him as a user. So shout out to Brandon Goodwin. Those are my 5.
Your list makes me so sad that I did not put Jeff Teague on here, honestly, because if I just went the 2K route, Jeff Teague is literally my favorite player.
I mean,
no reason.
I like my list, man. I think that's a solid 5.
All right,
cool with
so
it. I enjoyed it.
I'm so I'm gonna go 5-1. I actually don't even know how to. I feel like I should just skip mine. I don't even know how to follow this up at this point.
What? You got to throw it out there. Come on, Joe.
All right. So number 5, we got Marcus Morris Sr. Danny, like you said, once a Knick, always a Knick.
I love it, man.
He was my favorite Knick during one of the long lost seasons of 2019. I feel like every season from 2014 to 2019 was lost. But that man won. Anyone that has a suffix in their name as a third, I am all for, and he is never scared of the moment. Unlike Ben Simmons, Marcus Morris will jack up shots, whether they go in or not, whatever, but he'll jack them up.
He killed it when he was up with us, man. With the 3, he really brought it.
Yeah, he was like Julius Randle before Julius.
He shot 43% that year from 3.
Yeah, he killed it, man. It's like when people come to the Knicks for some reason right now, their threes go like Rose. Remember when Rose first came and he starts hitting them consistently and you're just what? So I don't know, man. But shouts to Marcus Morris, dude. Great pick right there. I like it.
Hell yeah. Number 4, we got Reggie Jackson. I heard this recently, which is wild. Apparently, if you look up on Second Spectrum or something, I heard this from another pod. He's number 1 in isolation points per possession. Reggie Jackson with his goggles on and stuff is apparently just torching people off the dribble, which I would have never. Like, I know he tries to do that his whole career, but apparently he's finally figured it out.
It's the goggles, man. It's the goggles.
It's gotta be.
It's always is. When isn't it the goggles?
Dude, I was thinking,
Rip Hamilton, man. I mean, his ISO game went up tenfold when he put that goggles on, honestly.
Dude, the masks, man.
Number
masks
3
and goggles.
Hell yeah. Exactly. Number 3, also once a Knick, always a Knick, Danilo Gallinari. Honestly, when we traded for Melo, he was actually the most sad dude that we lost. It was him or Wilson Chandler. I really couldn't figure it out which one I was more sad about. But his floor spacing and length, 1, would have been great for the Melo Amari team. And 2, for any 32-year-old to rock a mohawk. Not well, but try at least. I respect it. Number 4, so Danny, funny. I'm going to copy you. Honestly, Giannis might, number 2, I'm going backwards. So number 2, almost number 1 is Giannis. Like, he's, because KD is out now, the war of attrition between the Nets and the Bucks. I honestly thought going in, whoever won that series is the favorite. I have no reason to think the Bucks aren't the favorite right now. I know it went 7 games and that shit's hard, but the Hawks won 7 games too. So I think the Bucks are going to take it 1 and 2. I think Giannis, literally, I love watching skinny Shaq. He can't shoot the 3. He can't shoot free throws, but he's not scared of a single thing.
Right.
And I fully respect that. And then number 1, which you might leave, honestly, Danny, after you hear me say this, and I'm sorry to you and every other Knick fan around. As a small guy, I got to say Trae Young.
I already knew it, man.
Yeah, dude.
As soon as you said it and you prefaced what you were about to say, I knew it, dude. My heart started racing. I'm like, no, don't.
So let me
sweaty over there.
So let me state my case, because I understand.
I agree with you. Listen, from in the shadows, I don't mind watching him. You know what I'm saying? I'm a basketball guy. He plays good basketball. You know what I mean? I just can't stand his personality. That's all.
Yeah, he sucks if he's not on your team. It's like Draymond Green is hated by every single Warrior opponent. But if you're a fan of the Warriors, like you love Draymond Green. Like Trae Young is fearless. He's super smart. He's really brash. Like if you're a 6'1" dude that's skinny as hell and you get to the NBA and you run a team, he's basically not single-handedly, but he's running the team to the conference finals.
His IQ is what does it for me.
And one thing that I want to talk about, because Shams posted this and it's been posted about Trae for Knicks fans, IQ, James Harden, all those dudes. Is like
Angelo's killing it in the comments.
Potential rule change. I know it's making me laugh, and it's so hard to keep a straight face. The potential rule change for next year about like you can't jump into defenders. What people are going to realize about all three of those dudes, CP3 does it, LeBron James does it to an extent. Like usually guys that are really good and have the ball a lot, they all do this. What people are going to realize is that Trae Young doesn't really jump into his defender a lot. He stops on a dime and jumps straight up, and your defender is just still running into him. And while that sucks for you to play defense, that is him drawing a foul every time.
And you know what's no,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say what I feel like CP3 and Booker even do. It's not so much with the shooting; it's more like when they're just swinging the ball around. Like they know when a defender's hands are close enough.
I actually hate the rip move way more than I hate the jump. The rip move pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because it's like literally the dude has his hand in front of you. His hand's like right here. And it's like,
you're just going through it.
Right. And it's like, how is that a foul? Like you knew his hand was there. The hand was there before you were. And I don't know. Also, as a short dude, once again, I respect the short guy. He pulls up from 30 feet. He went 5 for 23 and you knew he was going to make that last shot.
Yeah, man. And dude, it's funny. I was sitting there on Twitter just going back and forth watching the game. And somebody, I don't even know who it was, man, but shout out to whoever it was. But they're like, a Trae Young dagger right now is going to change this game. And boom, it happened. And that was it, man. Really, it just, the game ran out.
To circumvent from Trae Young into the person that he beat, Ben Simmons, it's like, I mean, none of us hate Ben Simmons. We all just don't really want him on our team, and or we feel bad for him, and or who the hell is this shooting coach? Every one of us would love Trae Young to be a Knicks point guard. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what?
If we have somebody just like that, golden.
My only problem with Ben Simmons, I think to myself, is like, you're a professional basketball player. You make all this money. If you were out in a desert, you can have a team come and build you a basketball court in 3 hours.
You have so much money,
and you can't shoot. Like I'm a recreational basketball player who plays for fun, and I can promise you I can shoot better than Ben Simmons. I promise you. It's not a joke.
But can you pull as many Kardashians?
No, maybe. Maybe at this point, maybe. I'm kind of feeling. No, I'm just probably.
Man, what did you say? How tall again? 6'1"?
6'5".
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking, wow, 6'5", dude. You're like a whole freaking foot, well, I'm 5'8", but almost a whole foot taller than me, dude. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm to the point where it's almost abnormally tall, yeah.
I hear you, man. So ceiling fans not cool.
Yeah, ceiling fans, doorways.
Yeah,
I got it's a little
Cape Cod style houses.
Chandeliers.
No attic,
it's like the Men in Black when they're in that room. I kind of gotta
that guy.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Ben Simmons shoots with the wrong hand, or do you think he even writes with the right hand? For God's sakes.
I was seeing something about him, the way that he holds his man. I'm always, every time I come on the pod, dude, I'm talking about freaking shooting motions. But yeah, dude, I saw something like with pictures and motion and cameras, like the way that he has his hand behind the ball. It's weird. It's almost like he curls his fingers a bit, or they are curled kind of. And it's just weird with the rotation. And it was saying how people that have shooting habits like that, it's difficult to readjust. And you know how the rest of that goes.
Careers.
Yeah, it is what it is. So
how do you get that far into your career if you don't make your free throws? You make free throws or not make your free throws when you're in high school, junior high.
He drove, man. He was a driving machine, dude.
Right. He didn't have to shoot.
Yep. 100%. And if you watch them
Noah shoots better than him, for God's sake.
Joakim Noah or Shaq.
Yeah.
How about the Shaq free throws from like 2K back in like any year when he was in the league?
Oh God. That's why I actually who would you rather shoot a free throw for your life? And I'm going to preface this by saying I know the answer would be one guy, but they are taking the 10-second count very literally. You get Giannis or Ben Simmons, you get one for your life. But if you get the 10 count counted on Giannis, you die. Who are you taking?
Well, Giannis did improve. And I got to say, I did watch him hit a couple of free throws when I tuned in, and I did not see Ben Simmons. So I got to go with Giannis.
When they started doing the count, I tweeted
that
something.
Was so funny.
I tweeted something like, "Oh man, I think I did like one of the piñata things where this guy, it was the Home Alone thing where they were throwing the bricks, and as soon as I posted that, I don't think he missed from the free throw line after
That's
that.
how it goes.
So I would probably go Giannis as well.
So it's your either fault or a blessing that the Nets lost. I mean, I'll take it.
I mean,
I
did not. See you later, Nets. There's only one team in New York, and my family's from Brooklyn, so Knicks all day.
There was no team there when they were there, so it don't matter.
Speaking of teams from New York, I tweeted this the other day. I'm so excited that the Harlem Globetrotters are actually asking to be in the NBA, so we can actually get a second New York team.
I
finally.
love that tweet. So
Yeah,
sassy.
Also,
very sassy of you.
Also, what would you guys think of the Harlem Globetrotters if they actually came to the NBA? How do you think they would do? How do you think they would have a fan base based on and stuff like that?
I think they do have somewhat of a fan base already, and I think that's part of the draw for them.
They're worldwide.
You know? Right, exactly. So I think that it's big. I think you're going to have, of course, bandwagon fans that jump ship. You know what I mean? But then again, man, I didn't really see too many jump ship for, the other team that set up shop. So I don't know. I think it's different, though. The aura around, I mean, it's completely different. It really is. You know what I mean? The aura around the Harlem Globetrotters, I would watch them and be excited. I mean, listen, I've been a fan of them since I was little. You know what I mean? So this is weird, man, to think about this.
It's a cool team. That would be a cool team to bring into New York and just kind of,
I wouldn't be a diehard, but I would be a casual. I would be a casual Globetrotter guy.
For sure. I would be more of a Globetrotter fan than I am a Nets fan.
I was going to say, how long do you think it would take for the
Yeah, me
Globetrotters
neither.
to
That's what I'm
get
saying.
better ratings than the Nets? Would it be day one? Would it take a year?
It would take some time, I think.
I think they would hit it. I think they would beat the Nets, and then they would probably fade out. And then you'd have to like start having an actual product on the court.
Right. Yeah, and they'd have to start going into the actual process of what the NBA. Yeah, I see that. And you know what? The second I said that it would take time, I realized they're worldwide. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's totally different. So you're gonna have people tuning in from everywhere. I get that the NBA is also, but
so wait.
Draw. Plus, it's exciting. First time, all that.
The question you're asking, Joe, is that the Globetrotters would come to the NBA with all the shenanigans that come with them, or are they going to just like, clean the slate?
You can't drop all of them, right? Like,
yeah,
dude,
they
I mean, you kind of,
could you imagine
behind the backs off the backboard for alley-oops still, right?
They're
Even if you do it once
shit.
in a while.
Dudes are
they're going to be bouncing the ball off people's heads. You know what I mean?
Like if they went 0-82 and they lost every game by 30, but they had 7 of the top 10 SportsCenter plays every night.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a win for them?
Just tons of pizzazz just carrying them.
They're like, and the Globetrotters lost 118-74, but their leading scorer Zipsy McDoodle had 58 of the 74 points, all from half court. Like, who's not watching that?
I think that they definitely would look to take it serious, though. You know what I mean? I think them even asking and doing it in this fashion, it shows that they're looking to, take another step. And obviously that would mean leaving, most of the shenanigans, probably going by real names, you know what I mean? Things of that sort. But I feel like
there's no he hate me on Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah. I feel like they'll still definitely have that flair, though. You know what I mean? Like they'll definitely tone it down because they're gonna have to play a real NBA game if they want to win on, consistently. Yeah. But you'll see some, man. I would love to see that.
I would too, honestly. I'd actually. Do you guys have an idea? Is there a stadium or an arena in Harlem? Like, where would they even play?
Man, I gotta ask my boy State. I don't know. I have no clue.
Frank, your family's from Brooklyn. Do you have any idea?
I don't know where they would be able to play. I mean, they would probably have to go to do something in Queens, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't.
Do they just take over every single street court and they just play a bunch of different games at street balls? Like they just play Rucker Park and they get like 3,000 fans.
Could you imagine their home court is just on the street? Just come out to the streets.
They just play Rucker Park. They have the
cool.
dude that's on the microphone on the side, and he's actually like walking up and down the court.
This is
West
getting
fourth quarter.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Getting
I'm
out
all
of
for
hand.
this.
You know how in hockey they have like the Winter Classic, and every year they pick two
They
teams
play
to
outside,
like.
yeah.
Yes. How dope would that be to do in the NBA? Like seriously, man. Like
Street
imagine
ball.
that, like a random game just played at like Rucker Park or somewhere.
That'd be
Like,
crazy.
dude,
I actually can't believe they haven't done that yet. Now that we're talking about it,
right? I know. It's crazy. It's got to be in the talk. I guarantee you, COVID and all that shit probably just threw it off. It's got to be in the. If I just came up with that off the cuff, like it's got to be in the pipeline.
what's wild is that I think COVID would have actually been the perfect time for them to do something like that, because the whole point of like NBA games is like they want as many fans there as possible.
Right.
But you could have just played at Rucker Park with 100 people there.
Well, they'd have to go to the mayor and have him put the rims back on, because if you remember, there was
De
no
Blasio,
rims.
oh my god,
there was no rims anywhere, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was riding around Long Island, suburbs of Long Island, random parks, random schools, no rims. It's crazy.
that I'm so glad that's over. Honestly,
too.
so one thing that actually the Harlem Globetrotters thing is a good segue into this, because in my head, if there was an expansion team, they get the #1 overall pick. And this year, I mean, I know none of us are like major draft experts, but Cade Cunningham, for all intensive purposes, should probably go #1. He's been hyped to go #1 for the past 2 or 3 years. The
Mhm.
last question I posed to you guys before we did this was, what would you trade if you're a Knicks GM? You know the players that we still have available, the contracts that are still there versus free agents, and all. Like we have fucking 30 picks in the next 6 years, basically. What would you be willing to
51.
trade for either any of these guys, all of them, any of them in different ways? #1 overall pick, which I took as Cade Cunningham, or Damian Lillard, or Ben Simmons. What would you guys make trades? Well, I can start with Ben Simmons, because I actually think he will be a sell low candidate this year, and there's no shot they can run it back with that team. It's like Ben Simmons is a point center at this point. He has to play center. He has to play the dunker role when he doesn't have the ball. If you refuse to shoot past the free throw line, you can't handle the ball at the 3-point line. It doesn't work in the NBA. He needs to play center somewhere. So like my idea would be, I would be willing to get rid of Mitch Robinson. I would be willing to get rid of one of the first round picks this year, and willing to get rid of the first round picks next year, and then throw a couple of the other smaller dudes like Bildoza, like Pell, whatever, to make contracts kind of work. But I would say Mitch Robinson and 2 #1s for Ben Simmons. And I know that Knicks fans would probably think that's terrible, because it's like everything's about favoritism. And it's like, Mitch is my guy. I love this team, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we lost in the first round, and Mitch Robinson's about to be a restricted free agent anyway. It doesn't really matter too much. What would you guys say?
Angelo, man, it's killing me, dude. I can't stop cracking up. Man, can I just say I don't want Ben Simmons on this team. So
most people agree with you, so I get it.
I would definitely, if I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right, and say I was one of those guys that would want Ben Simmons on this team. The only reason that you'd have to go as deep in the bag as you just did is because of how much he's owed for his contract, man.
Right.
Man, what is it? Is it? I want to say it's like freaking close to 40.
He's got 5 years, 177 million is basically right now. So it's
only 33 million a year. What do you mean?
33.
Yeah. Well, it's back end heavy. So it's
but for Ben Simmons,
it's 40 million.
Can I just tell you this guy? So he's been in the league for 4 years now. He's a 3-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA, All-Rookie. He won Rookie of the Year, 2-time All-Defense, and 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Mm-hmm. And this is a dude that people are like, I don't want him because he can't shoot. My whole argument would be he plays center. He doesn't play point guard. He plays center.
My whole thing against Ben Simmons, and I tweeted this out the other day, right, is that he's not a Tibbs guy. And I'm going to explain real quick why I say this. It's because everything that I've read about him and heard from him is, and I'm going to put this in a box, because I saw the press conference. Obviously, I totally get he took, responsibility, as he should. I mean, how do
you give up an open dunk though, on a serious note?
I agree. I pointed that out also. So I'm not disagreeing with you there. But as the face of the franchise, you should take it on your back and say it's my responsibility, especially if you know that you did have a couple of plays where you could have did something different, and you know how it goes, the butterfly effect that trickles it down the line. Maybe it would have changed the outcome. But the way that I look at it is he's always looking to do things his way. You know what I mean? And with that type of personality, you almost isolate yourself a bit, right? And the camaraderie that the Knicks have and the identity that the Knicks have right now is work hard and defense first. And I see that's why Ben Simmons, in most people's minds would be somewhat of a fit and a Tibbs guy. But I don't see that not the work ethic, but the killer mentality, and two, the ability to want to grow and learn as a unit. You know what I mean? I know I'm probably not explaining this as best as I probably can, but I just feel like he doesn't have that willingness to do what it takes.
You don't think he's a
team.
hard worker? You think he just does other stuff?
To a degree, because listen, I'm sure he probably works hard when he practices, but I don't know, man. It's been, like you said, 4 or 5 years, and it's the same thing over and over. Accolades are great, but as a team, if it's not producing, I mean, what does he average career points wise? You know what I mean? And rebounds and assists. You go there for that type of money. I feel like you could get
if he was on our team
more.
right now, where does he rank as the best player, second best player on the team? He might be better than Randall. On a serious note, he's like one or two.
He might be the best player on the team.
I would say,
but
I agree with you.
I just don't know if his Tuliage is
reasons.
what you want for the number one option.
Right. I wouldn't. I don't think so. I feel like for what we have right now, listen, and I get we need Randall to prove it. You know what I mean? He's got to do the same thing next year and take another step forward, because if he takes a step backward, then we don't have any more confidence in you. You know what I mean? Like, you already built the confidence. I believed it was real. It went the whole season. Obviously, we saw what happened in the playoffs. I get that. We just mentioned before, we're giving Atlanta a little bit of credit. So I really would love to see him come back, and for most of the year next year, obviously all of it, but I would hope most of the year he's playing just as great as he was, and if not, taking a step further up and becoming more of a facilitator. And if other guys around him are doing the same thing, then those, tools that Ben Simmons would come along with can be kind of replaced in other places. Well, and you can get defense out of other guys. You know what I mean? And he's already not shooting. No, it's my bad. I was taking a second to breathe. But so I just feel like you could kind of get those from other guys in the team. So bring him over. Does it move the needle? I don't know. I really don't think it does, to be honest. But that's me. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. So I respect everybody else's in that same way. And I get it. Everybody sees the game a little bit differently. So
Frank, go ahead.
Yeah. So I know we were talking the other day, Joe, about Simmons and how I was just abundantly clear that I didn't want him on the team.
You used a really good quote yesterday. If you want to tell the people that.
I don't remember what I ate for breakfast.
He thinks of himself more as a celebrity than an NBA player.
Right. So one thing that I worry about is that the distractions of New York City is something that is a very real thing, especially with the pandemic. Kind of seeming as if it's like wrapping up.
Ben Kardashian, exactly.
Yeah, but like I'm thinking to myself, what Danny was saying is that he's not much, the facilitation aspect of his game and whatnot. I just had a thought to myself, maybe with the Sixers, they play inside out with Joel Embiid because the guy is an MVP candidate. He is prolific, right? In the post, he's
a dominant force. He's like the only version of a dominant inside scorer we have in the NBA right now. Maybe
with a team that is more perimeter based, because Julius dribbles up. He's kind of like the point forward. Maybe with a perimeter team and a team that has a little more ball movement incorporated in their game plan, instead of just like a dish down to the post and kind of go from there. Maybe he could thrive with a defensive oriented team and a team that plays a little bit more perimeter based.
Can I work off that real quick? Can I give you guys a sample lineup that we would have next year in this hypothetical scenario?
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
So imagine, once again, I think of Ben Simmons as a center. So Ben Simmons plays the 5. And for anyone that thinks Ben Simmons is small or whatever, this dude's 6'11" with like 7'2" wingspan. He's literally the size of a center. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, whoever we keep out of like the Bullock, Burks like type player. We get like an improvement, DeMar DeRozan, whoever like that.
It's got to be a shooter, man. You need
it has to be a shooter.
So a shooter at the 3 of some sort, and then we still have Derrick Rose IQ. It's like IQ, RJ Barrett, a shooter, Julius Randle around Ben Simmons. That's a 4-out. That's a 4-out offense.
I just think you're kind of taking Ben Simmons away from what he does best, and that's streaking to the basket. If you're going to throw him at the center position,
he can still bring the ball up. Nikola Jokic does.
Yeah, I mean, but Nikola Jokic also catches a lot of balls in the post and plays inside out as well. And then you already have a guy, Julius Randle, that kind of does the same thing towards the elbow and the block area, where he'll catch the ball and you'll have him make a decision. And another thing, like you say, RJ, like I worry that to get a guy like Ben Simmons, it's going to take, instead of Mitch Robb, because you worry about the foot, it's going to take a guy like RJ and a few picks, because then you have to start thinking like bigger picture down the line when it's time to, give RJ a contract. This Ben Simmons,
And you're already paying Ben Simmons and
right,
Julius Randle.
right,
Yep.
and you're gonna have to kind of give up some chips to take on that contract and also keep Randle. So I think RJ is the only other guy on our team that is gonna demand that big of a contract. So to get Ben Simmons, I think you have to give up RJ.
Yeah, and personally,
wouldn't
I don't
do
want
that,
to do
obviously.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
not
wouldn't
trying to
either.
do that. Yeah, I'm not trying to do that. I think RJ is a better all around player than Ben Simmons is. I think Ben Simmons
No
is
shot. Not currently. There maybe
No,
one day, but not.
potentially.
Yeah.
Obviously, potentially. I
RJ
think-
Barrett's like a barely plus defender right now. Ben Simmons is literally top
Right.
2 in defensive player of the year voting and runs the offense
Right.
for a team that
right,
made the
not
number one
defensively,
seed.
maybe not on the defensive side of the game, but as far as like offensively, I think that RJ Barrett has a broader spectrum of skill set than what Ben Simmons has.
I would agree with that.
To your guys' defense, RJ Barrett at least is willing to get better at shooting.
And he
Right.
just turned 21.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, his free throw percentage went up this year. His 3-point percentage went up this year.
His defensive abilities, rating. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep. I would rather keep RJ than go for Ben Simmons
To
personally.
go to the next dude that I mentioned, I want to save the Portland guy for last, because it's going to be Dame time at the end of the game, at the end of the pod, obviously. How much do you guys know about Cade Cunningham, or just the number 1 overall pick possibilities, like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, Evan Mosby, Kamiga, and what's the other guy's name? There's
Keon?
there's 5.
no.
Can't remember. Exactly. Well, for Cade
I don't-
Cunningham specifically, I know a lot about.
This tells
but,
you
like,
exactly how much I know.
what would you guys be willing to do to get rid of for Cade Cunningham? Because I always think of number 1 overall picks as like, this is a dude I've been hearing about for 3-4 years now. Since he's been in 9th grade, it's like, this dude's going to be the number 1 overall pick. This dude's like Ben Simmons. He's literally referenced as a Ben Simmons that can shoot the ball. So
Scotty Barnes is up there.
yeah. But so Cade Cunningham specifically, it's like, what would you guys be willing to do to move up to number 1?
I mean,
if anything.
you gotta obviously give up the 19th and the 21st pick.
You know,
That's where it starts
Um,
for sure. Yeah.
Right. And then you might have to give up a future first rounder, and then you got to throw in a player.
How
it's-
good of a player are you willing to get rid of in this
Vince says
situation?
Julius.
I would say you have
I
to
think
go,
Cade Cunningham in his peak is going to be better than Julius Randle personally. Cade Cunningham is
Man,
like,
I don't know enough.
that's the thing. It's like Cade Cunningham is like the one of the closer things to like Luka Doncic or LeBron James hype.
I mean, you have to give up one of your first round pick guys that you've taken. So it's got to be like RJ. It's got to be Obi Toppin and probably somebody else to get that done. But I mean, like I said,
Toppin is not seen highly in like a trade market. I mean,
oh,
he had
not
I
yet.
mean, I
7
understand
good games
that.
all year.
Trust me, I'm fully aware of that. I'm just
Oh, yeah,
saying.
I know you are.
I'm just saying, like, in order to get a guy and a number 1 overall pick, you're gonna have to give up what you've done in the past with your first round picks and future first round picks to get that number 1 pick.
Or Danny, what about you? Would you be willing to give up anything to even try it? Or
You know me, man. Right now, I'm locked in with keeping this culture going and keeping it building on what we have already. I'm so not into leveraging everything and going that route again.
Yeah.
I just feel like we've seen it so many times, so
Agreed.
it's tough, man. So I'm good on that. For the first time in however long, we don't have to worry about the lottery. I'm not trying to even go back into worrying about drafting that high up. Let's just keep the eyes on the targets that we're at right now and keep moving forward, man. We got plenty of assets. There's no need. So I would just say no. I would definitely say no.
Agreed.
so let's jump into it. I would give up 3 first rounders and Mitch or IQ, honestly, because Cade Cunningham is going to be 10 times the player of either one of them.
Those are the 2 names that I have written down.
I would be down for both, and I know everyone loves IQ.
Me
IQ is
too.
like my favorite Knick from the past year for sure. But Kate Cunningham is like 6'8" IQ plus Ben Simmons. This dude has a 40% shot from three. And
three first round picks and IQ and Mitch. That was what it would probably take.
I'm no matter what, I'm keeping Julius and RJ over my life, basically.
And you know what? Because I feel like, look at last year when we were in that draft and there was so much talk about us, trying to do something to get up, to pick even higher. And we didn't do it. You know what I mean? So right now where we're at, I just don't see it happening whatsoever,
Yeah, Joe will send himself before he sends RJ.
I would too. Joe, don't worry about it. You could keep yourself here half the time and I'll go the other half.
Yeah, we'll ship you out. Both of you guys.
Yo, man, let's
I got a deal on shipping.
The last thing I actually ouch, damn. No, my shipping costs double, man. I'm a worthy
guy. I got that post office discount. I got you.
No, the New York Postman trying to sell me for free online. Amazon.com or that. Before we get into Dame time for the last potential trade target. Exactly. It's always Dame time. Look at that Apple Watch. I love it.
Hell yeah,
Apple
bro.
Watch and the Surface Pro, man. Whose side are you on, Microsoft or Apple?
Got that old man Casio.
Yeah, Casios are legit, man. They ain't gonna break. Yeah.
Yep. So real quick, obviously the Olympics are happening this year. The Olympics 2020 are happening in 2021. Don't ask me how or why. I don't think that's how numbers work. But we got RJ Barrett in Canada. We got Frankie Smokes in France, and we got Luca Vildoza in Argentina. If you guys aren't cheering for America, which one of these guys do you want to win the most?
Man, I'm going Canada. You know that, man. I'm already being shipped there. So
what are you talking about?
That was actually pretty good, man. So I play hockey and I don't even try it, dude, because all my friends say I got such a shitty accent. So I ain't even trying it. But yeah, man, I would go RJ, Canada, definitely. I would love to watch, a little bit of Frank, obviously playing for France. I definitely want to watch as much film as I can on Luca, man. But I'll be riding for Canada for sure.
Frank,
I'm a USA first guy, of course, but RJ.
Same.
Get me a beret and a baguette. I'm going Frank Ntilikina, my guy.
Are you gonna have a cigarette with the extension thing that you smoke to filter
the Cruella DeVille joint? I'm gonna
stop saying it's we.
I'm gonna I'm gonna grow out my mustache. This might be the end of the Frank Ntilikina era.
I have the real answer, by the way, to the only player that's better than Summer League Kevin Knox. It's Frank Ntilikina, international player.
The GOAT.
Frank Ntilikina playing for France, man. This dude gets 25, 10, and shoots 40% from three. You watch.
He does play differently with them.
He has confidence. It's like he just wants to speak French the whole time, and we all force him to speak English and get braids they doesn't really want.
Poor guy got braids, just hates them.
Right?
Just miserable.
Oh, my God.
He lost a bet.
I'm cheering for America first and foremost, obviously, but number two would, much like Danny B said, RJ, Rowan, Alexander Barrett. I hope Canada gets silver and RJ Barrett gets the MVP of the whole Olympics somehow.
Me too, man. Me too. I was looking up pictures all day and game film from back in 2017 when he was playing. So that's dope.
One thing I am really, really, really excited for. Does anyone know if Andrew Wiggins is playing for Canada? Because if he's playing for Canada, I want to see. I want to see who actually does more for their team between the two of them. Because the two of them, I would imagine, are the best players in the team. Yeah, and I feel like RJ has a much more of a killer instinct.
It says Andrew Wiggins become the first NBA player to commit to the Canadian national team for the summer 2001. So
perfect. Yeah, no, I'm actually super duper excited. Also, BKE is going to cover any and all three of the Knicks that are on those three teams. And then if Julius Randle does actually decide to play for Team USA, I don't know if he is going to or not at this point, but we're definitely going to have a lot of Luca Vildoza, RJ Barrett, and Frankie Smokes up until Frankie Smokes is not on our team anymore. Make sure to check it out on our Instagram and Twitter. The last thing. So now it is, you guys want to show your watches again? It is Dame time. What would you guys give up for Dame time? And I will say I would give up Julius Randle to get Dame Lillard on this team. What about you?
I would too. I like Dame. I gotta go. I gotta agree with you, man. Man, you throwing the good takes out there right now. Yeah, dude, I love Dame. I definitely. I mean, the one knock on him is definitely his age. 31 years old. So I get it. But
Dude, 31's like the new 28 or 27. Apparently, these dudes
I'm
play till
with you,
like they're
man. Listen,
40.
if they're still younger than me, I'm good. So you know what I mean. I'm 33, so I always try to set the bar, and I feel all right. You know what I mean. I'm a little spry. So Dame, I definitely would. I would give up.
If you're
I'd
willing to
give
go up
up
Julius, I
Randall.
feel like you still need
I'd
to
give
throw in
up
a pick or
picks.
two.
Yeah, you got to throw a pick or two in there. So I get that. Yeah, I would definitely do it, man. I would pull the trigger. Postman Frank, what do you think, man?
Danny, by the way, you look 25 at the very oldest, man. I didn't know you were 33. When did you start shaving your head, real quick?
Man, I think 26.
You went home at
God, I started when I
26.
was 21. That's so
story.
sad.
Dude, this is a funny ass story. I was at a party, right? And hanging out, all my boys drinking, hanging out. And this one kid walks in who I haven't seen in like 5-6 years or so. That, from high school, good friend.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen him in forever. And so he walks in and he's like, yo, what is on your head? And I look up and I'm like, what do you mean, man? Like, and I'm touching my head. He's like, what is that? And I'm like, dude, that's my hair. And he's like, oh, dude, you got to shave that. Cause at this point, I'm, balding right here.
You just got the widow's peak going hard.
Yeah, I got and I only got the little flip going right here, dude. And so I literally woke up the next day and I shaved my head, and the barber was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Do it, please, because I'm not trying to like wait no longer. Like, just do it." And so
that's when you transformed into Danny B.
Yeah,
sucked, man.
You
Yeah,
reached
seriously.
final form.
Dude, I got into my car and I remember taking a picture of myself, and I had such a miserable face on. I was like just pouting. So funny. But I got
dude, I was hyped when I shaved my head the first time. I did it myself.
Did you?
Yeah. Just went right at it. It's literally on my Instagram. If you scroll back enough, I can tell you the exact date. It's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks from my 22nd birthday. I was just like, you know what? My dad has been hanging on to the same 14 strands of hair for the past 25 years. My grandfather has the fryer going. He just has the hair on the side, but never shaved it. And I'm like 21 years old, balding already a little bit. And I'm like, I'm just going to end it now. Let's just start it early.
Yo, and the worst part is like, that's like one of the last things you would ever have thought that you needed to do at, you know what I'm saying? At whatever age.
No, I knew. I don't know about you, man. I knew. I saw my dad and brother and I was like, no shot.
Dude, what I'm saying is like, when I'm like 19, 20, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't balding yet. I mean, yeah, it was thinning a little bit, very little, but there's no way I would have thought in 5 years I'm bald. No way.
Frank will never have to shave his head.
Hey, wait! Don't put that juju on me.
I'll knock on wood for you, but
I'm
good, buddy. I know the Pulios. You guys all have great hair.
Come on,
I don't know about you, Joe.
Me, Brody.
I always compliment people with nice hair. That's why when you first took your hat off, I was like, oh man, that's a flow. You got to give it up, man. I don't got it. If you got it, kudos, bro.
Pulios do got good hair.
Ben, I knew I'd get you to talk on the pod.
Go clear your throat.
Yo, Frank, what were we gonna say though about the Dame thing? What would you give up for Dame?
So I'm looking. So to me, I always look at years remaining left on contract. And smart. I think Julius Randle would be something that might not be as enticing as you think he would be, just because he's off contract after next year, right? He's got like 1 year left after.
They're gonna probably sign it. I mean, if
you do a sign and trade, that would do something that would make it a lot better. But I don't know if Julius has the juice to get Dame over here. I still think that the Knicks have to move guys like RJ to get these big. I mean, I'll
throw a crazy scenario. You guys tell me who says no. Julius, IQ, and 2 first rounders for Dame. Who says no?
No, that's that's doable. I was gonna say you would have to throw in, if you're gonna move Julius, it's gonna have to be with another very high ceilinged player and a few picks with it. But if you give a guy just like RJ and a couple of picks, you might be able to swing it without giving up too many players. Is kind of what I was getting at.
Well, what would you rather do? Would you rather go up Julius and IQ or RJ?
I would give up Julius and IQ and 2 first rounders to get Dame. But
keep RJ.
But to Danny's point, I'm just so excited that we're actually building this the right way. I don't even go after Dame. I mean, I just stay the course. Scott Perry is doing a phenomenal job. I'm very happy with the directions that the Knicks have been taking. Finally, we are doing things right. Finally, we're doing things the right way. And just because we've spent a couple of seasons accumulating assets doesn't mean that as soon as we accumulate these assets, we need to just fire sale them for the hottest name that's out there
Correct.
We made the playoffs. Nobody, I think they had us like at 22 wins this season or something around that.
Yep, 21, 22.
So like we pretty much
we were projected
that.
second to last to Detroit.
Right, we pretty much doubled that. I think with proper re-signings, better shooting. I remember Joe and I were talking about Lowry. I wasn't big on Lowry, but I molded over. And
wow,
I think Lowry.
I'm huge on Lowry.
I think Lowry could.
Me too.
For the right price. I mean, but we have all this cap space. I think Lowry is a guy that
2 years,
bring
55 mil. Who the fuck cares?
Right. I think Lowry can be a guy you bring in. You got to bring in a shooter. I think I like Burks better than I like.
He can just do more.
Well, not only that,
Bullock for sure. He also is going to cost more though. It's what it is.
But I mean, really, Bullock was 2 years, 8.1 million, or 8.2, which came
off of a back surgery. It's like it was a deal in itself,
right? And then Burks was 6 million for 1 year, so it's not like he's going to cost you that much more.
Right.
It'll only be a couple of mil more. I think maybe a little bit more now because he played so well. But I think that we got to go. Just stick the course. Keep signing free agents, keep building through the draft. Let's keep accumulating these assets. Let's see what we can do this coming year. Don't knee jerk. Don't try to shoot for the stars. We're starting to build the culture here. Guys will want to come in free agency. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Last thing before we all let each other go, because I've been hearing way too much Colin Sexton talk, and Colin Sexton gets made fun of by other teams for never passing the ball. Would you guys trade for Colin Sexton? I would not.
I'm good.
I wouldn't. I'll tell you when I would is if we're in the same boat. If you remember last year, right? Like I want to say like 2 months before the season started, there was nothing going on in the point guard world, right? And we didn't get nobody. We're all thinking, what the hell are we doing? And then we bring Peyton back for another year.
I would.
If we're in that scenario, I'm okay with Sexton pulling something off just to get Sexton. I'm okay with that.
I know we haven't watched enough Luka Vildoza play. I mean, this dude is one of the best in like the Spanish leagues, the Euro leagues, one of the best in Argentina. I honestly think there's 0% chance that he's not better than Elfrid Payton. And I've barely watched the dude. It's almost impossible.
I think Elfrid Payton's just getting this rough take because of his play in the playoffs. I mean, this guy was low
dude, he
end.
was trash the last 30 games of the year.
He was, but this guy is an NBA caliber player. I just don't think he fit with us. I just think
there was something.
You say NBA, I say CBL, man. He can go on the Shanghai Knights for all I care.
with KP.
Yeah. Well, KP actually is an NBA player. He just doesn't play half the time or try.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to last season, right? That Peyton, he didn't make any improvement or, take any step forward from last season to this season. You know what I mean? Like it kind of was the same. It was a lateral. It was the same, same type of play. And then he was playing. You're right, Frank. He was playing pretty good right before. I keep saying this. I say this on everywhere I've been going. He played pretty good up until he got hurt right on his birthday that night.
Hamstring, yeah.
And he never played like that again. Right. Period. And obviously, we went out and got Rose, brought him in. That's got to affect his confidence. Listen, when you're on the Knicks and you got people, all over social media talking, they see it, man. They definitely go on and search. Man, I don't know how many times I see videos on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever of a random star Googling their names. You know what I mean? Like they look at it. So I just feel like he definitely was that type that took it and wasn't able to brush it off, man. Like I don't know if you saw like the way that he was on the courts and stuff, but like he looked sad. You know what I mean? He didn't look in.
He didn't stop joining the huddles when they were doing huddles. He stopped like sitting next to his teammates
at the very end. Yeah.
The part that really lost me the most was like, yo, you can't have your mom tweeting that.
Yeah, that was a
they
bad
benched
look.
you for 4 minutes. That's why they lost.
62, bro.
That's a bad look.
Yo, he's Knicks fan 6 and she's Knicks fan 7. Oh,
well, I think with Peyton too, you always got to think like obviously he was going to hit free agency, and Hammy is something that can always come back. It's lingering. So like a portion of me thinks that he got hurt. They brought in Rose. Maybe it hit his ego a little bit, and that's why he's not reaching the huddles, or he's just not being very like team oriented. But at the end of the day, too, like he also has to worry about his future. So when they bring in a guy like
he torched his future, he did worse.
I mean, I think he's a guy that can still get a job off of the body of work. I mean, he's still relatively young too, right?
Somebody will take him because they just need to take him.
Yeah, he's like 27 years old. I mean, the guy is not a bad basketball player. He's a
Yeah, he's still
low
getting
end
a
triple.
contract.
He's
You
a
guys
low
want
end
it?
triple double guy, man. The guy can give you 7 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists any night. I mean, the guy can be
Yeah, and your team
productive.
lost by 20.
I mean, listen, he's not going to be the guy that blows the doors off of you, but he can absolutely contribute.
You guys want to hear a real Elfrid Payton hot take? I got one for you.
Sure.
Theo Pinson's going to be in the league longer than Elfrid Payton.
At this rate moving forward, I
Yeah,
could see that.
From this point on, Theo Pinson's
not
in the
so
NBA longer
outlandish.
than Elfrid Payton.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Elfrid Payton, by the way, Elfrid Payton was drafted in the same year that I actually used as my answer for 2014, the one that had Jokic and Randall and Joel and all of them, which
Right.
I think actually means I lost. I lost the game of picking the best draft class that wasn't 2018.
Just because Peyton's in there.
Just because Elfrid
Like
Payton's
I
in
said,
it.
man, he was doing all right. I mean, Frank, to your credit, he, wasn't horrible last year. What did we have around him? Nothing. I mean, we didn't really come up with no game plans. Everything was just fly by the seat, you know what I mean, last year. But this year, when we definitely got into it a little bit more and started being consistent, winning games, and doing things like that, I feel like what happened was it put the spotlight on him because everybody else was able to take that next step and he didn't. You know what I mean? So the mistakes that he was making stood out more because it was, his mistakes. Randall was still getting turnovers, but he was doing other things to make up for him. You know what I mean? Same with Reggie and everybody else. And people were screaming Peyton's defense all year long. And I don't want to say I understood it, but I get where they were coming from until that one game at the end of the year. I think it was against the Nets. And I want to say he was guarding Kyrie and he waved off the double team.
Oh, that was so stupid. And Kyrie banged it in his eye.
Yeah. And then it's like, all right, that's it. Like, how do you come back from that? Ego wise, confidence wise,
you don't.
You know what I mean? And honestly, I feel like his defense, that whole narrative kind of fizzled out after that. You know what I mean?
I don't even know how or why we got to Elfrid Payton. He makes his way into this podcast.
Dude, let's talk about something
every time.
Joe, throw something out that transitions this.
I was gonna say, we've already been on for a little while. I was gonna say, I think we should be getting out of here soon. Before we leave, I just want to know your guys' picks. Who's going to win the conference finals and who's winning the NBA title?
Man. All right. So, Frank, I got to throw you out there first.
All right.
Picking the Suns right now is easy. They're already up 2-0.
I think it's going to be Suns, Hawks, and then I think the Suns are going to win the chip.
Okay.
I got Suns Bucks, and I think Giannis takes it. And they still might fire Budenholzer at the end of the year, even with a chip.
He's got good hair, though.
Yeah. Good hair. Terrible, like 3-piece tracksuits. Trash.
Yeah, the outfit, the fits are just no good.
Oh, my God.
Who is
Danny
this
B,
guy?
you stalled, man. Who you picking?
Man, I'm going to go Suns, and although I don't want to say it, I got to say Atlanta. I just feel like they have more tools.
You guys are both going upset. Wow.
I just feel like they're playing better. I don't want to say better ball, but the style of play, I just feel like it takes them to other levels. You know what I mean? And sometimes you see the Bucks struggle to do that. They struggle to make shots at certain times.
They have the smartest player on the floor. You have to go with like you.
And then I go Suns taking it. I don't see anybody beating the Suns, to be honest. That's me. They're good, man. They got a ton of tools, and they've been waiting for this, man. That bubble last year, and I understand the whole, Miami bubble didn't, kind of translate to this year, but clearly
the Suns it did, man. They were undefeated.
Correct. That's exactly what I was going to say. So, it goes back to what we were saying earlier in the pod to kind of circle back a little bit. How everybody progresses at different, in different stages. Teams also do too.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they took that next step, man, and they've been killing it. So I'm excited to see that.
I did tweet this a while back. I know this would go against me picking the Suns Bucks, but I said I want the Suns Hawks the most, and I think it would be the most funny CP3 anti-legacy thing ever that Trae Young beats CP3 in the finals to take over the point guard title and then never even let CP3 get one.
It would get chippy. I've been loving it. The whole playoff series run throughout, this year. It's been so chippy in every series. I love that, man. I love it.
Me too. It is very reminiscent of 90s style basketball.
Yo,
The refs are
yeah.
letting them play through. I like it. It's been a fun playoffs.
You saw Bully, the Bully. Look, I was gonna say Bully. You saw Bully Booker. Dang, that's why I was gonna say that. Jeez,
Yeah.
what a freaking alliteration right there.
He bullied
but at the
Booker
very
and
end
then
of the
gave
game,
up a dunk, a alley-oop dunk. It's unbelievable. Before
So,
we leave, anything you guys want to plug before we get out of here? Everyone's Twitter and Instagram, stuff like that.
yeah, man. I'm gonna throw out there Knick's Corner, bro. At the Knick's Corner everywhere, dude. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever the hell you go to find stuff, that's where it's at. So the Knick's Corner, I got all my podcasts up there. Every Saturday at noon, I do a show about a half an hour with Coach Five. We bring on guests of all kinds. This week we got a ladies' night. It's Sue York, Estafita, Tiffy Bean,
Nice.
MJ's Lasagna. It's gonna be the biggest one that we've had yet. Last week we had Fredo at Go Knicks Tape. So we got a lot of stuff planned, man, all summer. I figure we'll keep the content going to kind of help plug the Knicks ball that we're missing. So definitely Knicks Corner everywhere that I'm at. And I feel like there was something else that I was thinking, but I don't know, it's gone. So Knicks Corner, bro. I'm done. I'm shutting up.
Comes and goes. Frank, what do you want to plug?
The New York Postman on Instagram, the NY Postman on Twitter, Big Nick Energy. Shout out to Danny B, hell of a guy.
Yo, shout out to you.
Yo, it was a lot of fun, bro. Real talk. It was a lot of fun. We all got to get up and we gotta just chop it up, man. Look out for his podcast
to get around with Joe and everybody, man. So we definitely got to do it. Soon.
We got to.
For sure.
Absolutely. Again, follow me as well. Twitter and Instagram at Joey Landolfa, JoeyLandolfa. And lastly, check out our sponsor once again, Empire Original Designs at jointheempire.com. The East Coast #1 challenge coin manufacturer, the home of challenge coins, lapels, pins, patches, keychains, bottle openers, and more. Mention our podcast, Big Nick Energy, via email for 5% off purchases. Once again, that's jointheempire.com. I've been Joe Yolk. That's the New York Postman Treduse. That's Danny B, the Knicks Corner legend himself. And the Knicks are going to crush next year, and we're drafting everyone and their mother. Peace.
Let's go.
Peace.